allergic to the stuff.
Feel like the needle going in.
Yeah, I got a BBL. 100% regret it.
Never did I imagine that these would be my results.
I get to my mirror and I was like, why do I have one titty?
I found out that my boobs were ruptured.
I'm just stuck with an IV and sent on my way.
If you do not step in now, someone is going to die.
By the time you go to the doctors, you could literally knock on it like wood. It was jet black.
Because I've been having troubles breathing.
I'm not even exaggerating. A hand comes over my mouth like this.
And the doctor said that would go away within like 2 years, and it's been 4.
This is the 24th day.
You never think it's gonna be you until it's you.
Am I allergic to the stuff?
My daughter likes to joke when I say something about my butt that it's fake. If you followed my journey, you know that I did get plastic surgery, and with that did come the BBL. But if you follow my journey enough for updates, you know that my BBL died, which is not an uncommon thing for your fat to die. Unfortunately, mine died and stayed, did not get absorbed. So I was left with all the fat that was put up in here, just died. It never got a chance to fluff, go down. So this is what happened. So yeah, I got a BBL, 100% regret it. What I've done is I have busted my tail, literally, at the gym to fill this area in, because that never went away. I did massages, I've done ultrasound, everything the doctor told me to do. And I followed up with them a couple months after they told me to do that. I was like, nothing's happening. And they said there's nothing they can do. So I took that and did that. I'll show you both sides. So yeah, I had a BBL, but I did this because I only had this, and it's still there. Like, if I sit down, it feels like cottage cheese. It's so bad. Don't do the BBL. But I had to fill all this in to make it look like I didn't have an origami butt anymore. So, just wanted to share my personal journey, because I regret the BBL, along with other things in my surgery, but definitely regret that.
I got my boobs done not once, not twice, but 3 times. The first time I got my boobs done, I told the doctor, I think I need a lift. He said, you're young, your skin should tighten up. And I was like, if my skin would tighten up, I wouldn't be here. The problem is it won't tighten up. It's loose, it's hanging, okay? I need a lift. He said, you don't need a lift, trust me. So I trusted him. Got my boobs done. A few months later, I said, my implants are sagging. This isn't what I wanted. So I went back to him. He said, you do need a lift. And I'm like, I did tell you that. I trusted my doctor for whatever reason, because he was in Beverly Hills. He was a popular doctor, whatever. So we scheduled me for a second boob job. And he was like, all you got to do is pay for the anesthesia and the table. So I had to pay like a couple $1,000s, which was very upsetting because you should have did it right the first time. So something in my gut told me to get saline over silicone, because when a saline implant pops, you can know right away because it's salt water, it's gonna go flat. When it's silicone, it will slowly leak into your body, you'll get sick and all that. So I was like, I'm gonna get saline just in case, because that's just my type of luck. So I go in for my round 2 and get home, everything is good. I noticed my stitches are itching like crazy. He did dissolvable stitches. I did not ask for that. Do not get dissolvable stitches. No, get regular stitches. So that was that. And I was just like praying, and I was like, I hope they come out good. Like, I do not want to have to get my boobs done again. Like, it wasn't very painful or anything, but just like, you know, surgery is dangerous, anesthesia is dangerous. So like a week passes, I wake up in the morning, go to my bathroom. I remember like it was yesterday, y'all. I get to my mirror and I was like, why do I have one titty? Why do I have one titty? What happened? So I took like my bra off and wrap off and stuff. And I was like, damn, one of my implants popped. This is crazy. So I start panicking and I called the doctor immediately. And I was like, hello, like one of my implants just popped. I just got my boobs done last week. They're like, how do you know your implant popped? And I was like, because I have one boob. Like, what type of question is that? And they're like, can you please send a picture so we can see? And I send them a picture of it. And I was like, oh yeah, one definitely popped. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. So they scheduled me another appointment immediately. I didn't have to pay nothing this time because I was like, I'm not paying nothing. We're gonna have to duke it out in this office. So I get in there, and a few days later after that, maybe it might have been like the next day, I forgot. But nonetheless, I get there, he's very apologetic, and I'm fuming because I'm like, what did you do? This is my third surgery. Within like 8 months. My birthday is next week. I was going to Mexico. Like, this is a lot. So he fixed it. I ended up getting a refund on the implants themselves. So that was my third surgery. 3. So 9 years later, we're still standing strong and no problems, thank goodness. But a lot of people ask me who my doctor was, and I never tell his name because look what I had to go through to get to where I'm at today. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it, but we're here now. And I remember I went to go leave him a review on Yelp, and I was like, why the hell didn't I go to Yelp first? Because he had all these reviews. And like years later, all these people started reaching out to me, asking me if I wanted to join this lawsuit to sue him. And I was like, I'm past this. Like, I don't have the energy to sue people. I just don't have the energy for that. But I'm like, this is crazy. And then he popped up on my TikTok like a few months ago, and I was this close. He had just made a TikTok, and I was like, get the F back off TikTok before you start getting outed. And I will be the one outing you, sir, because you put me through hell. Plastic surgery is a lot. Make sure you go to multiple doctors. Make sure you feel really comfortable. Like, pray on it, because doctors will make you feel hella comfortable. Like, he made me feel extremely comfortable. And then as soon as you get the surgery, they will start being like super rude. They'll start making all type of mistakes. Y'all, plastic surgery ain't nothing to play with.
You have to be living under a rock if you did not see that Facebook post yesterday of the young woman who went to an aesthetics practitioner who runs an aesthetics academy. And I'm not even going to call her an aesthetics practitioner. She's a butcher. Because who in their right frame of mind would buy a suction machine to suction phlegm from AliExpress to perform a liposuction procedure on another human being? This is animalistic to the highest degree. This is manslaughter. This is grievous bodily harm. I'm speaking out specifically to the government. If you do not step in now, someone is going to die. This woman ended up in intensive care. Her family were told to come to the hospital. Anything medical requires you also to have a background check, also be required to have an enhanced DBS. Why are we not doing background checks and DBS checks on these aestheticians? This woman had the cheek, knowing that this Facebook post had been shared thousands of times across the country, if not further. She posted in her Instagram stories that the allegations were not true. She sent messages to people that questioned her as to why she's still offering her services whilst the person she just butchered is in intensive care. My final words: if the government doesn't step in, then please use your own common sense. If it doesn't sound right, don't do it. If it doesn't look right, don't do it. If you see £50 filler, run for the hills. Run as fast as you can. The only way you're going to get it that cheap if it is unlicensed. If it's unlicensed, then it has not been tested for human use. Please. I've had to learn the hard way. So this is not coming from another aesthetics practitioner. This is coming from someone that's lived it, done it. I'm begging you, please, just think before you book a procedure. Please do not be that one person that ends up on the news because they did not make it, because they didn't survive. So I will also say this. If you have been personally injured by any of these fad king academies and practitioners, report it. Report it immediately so we can prevent this happening any further.
I don't know whether this video is going to get seen or whether it's just going to stay here. I don't really come on TikTok, but if I'm ever going to reach anybody, it's going to be on here. In July 2000, oh my God, I feel so nervous. So nervous. In July 2023, I went over to Turkey to have my boobs done, just like a lot of women do in the UK. Seemed like a really, really good idea at the time. I'd known other people who'd gone to this specific hospital. So we booked the flights, we took our 1-year-old son with us, and we go over to Turkey. Everything seems great. The hospital was really clean. Nerve-wracking, but I went through the operation. I woke up from the operation, and the only thing I can describe is that I felt like a truck had hit me all over my body. I was in excruciating pain. Now, obviously I'd done a lot of research and I didn't realise that the pain would be this bad, so I knew something was wrong. So I get back to the hotel after 3 days of being in the hospital and nothing's changing. I haven't got the best posture anyway, but I felt like I was walking with a hunch because I just couldn't stand up straight. So we get to day 5 and we're supposed to be staying for the week, but the pain was that bad. I just really wanted my home comforts. So we ended up paying out of our own pocket, getting a flight back to the UK. So we get back to the UK and the pain definitely helps. The pain goes. But I'm noticing along my incision lines that something isn't right. I'm noticing around the areola area, the nipple area, something isn't right. So I go to the doctors. By the time you go to the doctors, you could literally knock on it like wood. It was jet black, just one. Jet black. It was not very appealing, let's put it that way. And the doctor says, I'm going to refer you to a breast specialist in Wigan. We live in Goulburn, so I thought, great, that's close. So another 3 or 4 days goes by, I get a letter through the post, go over to the specialist, and he said, I'm really sorry, it's gone necrotic, it's died. I didn't really know what that meant at the time. I knew what it died it meant, but in the grand scheme of things, of everything to come, I didn't know what it meant. So he said, I'm really sorry, there's nothing we can do to save it. One of your nipples has died. Started talking me through the options of, you know, when the scab falls off and there's nothing behind it, so basically my nipple will just fall off. There's great tattoo specialists out there and it'll look normal. Cried, obviously. As a woman, you think, oh my God, I'm a freak of nature. You know, what have I done to myself? Just wanted to get rid of these massive saggy boobs that I'd had. And I just wanted to feel better about myself. And look what I've done to myself now. And the mental, how can I explain it? Absolute mental torture that I put myself through at that time was, I was in a bit of a dark place. Little did I know it was going to get 10 times worse. So 4 or 5 days after that, my other nipple went as well. Jet black. Literally like you could tap it with your nail and it'd feel rock solid. So at that point, they started the Hanukkah honey treatments, the medical grade honey treatments. I'd have to go to the hospital, which is like an hour round journey every single day. I was getting them all bandaged up, the honey treatments put on. As the weeks were going on into the 3rd week, it was getting worse and my incisions were starting to come apart. So I was having all the dressings redone constantly. I think it got to about 3.5, 4 weeks. Bearing in mind this was a couple of years ago, so I'm trying to recall. But it got to about 4 weeks, and it seemed like it was getting better. So I went to every 3 days. I remember the day I went to the medical centre with my mum. It was a Sunday, and I said, Mum, something doesn't feel right, because in the days prior, the only way I can describe it is it smelled like death. So obviously things were oozing out. I'm well aware that the honey doesn't smell very nice anyway, but something smelled like it was rotting. So we go to the medical centre, they take all the dressings off, and my breast literally split in half. When I say split in half, it was like mush. So it had all gone necrotic. So I got rushed to Wiston Hospital, which is not far from us. It's a specialist hospital in plastic surgery. So I got rushed to there. I got there later on in the afternoon, went through the A&E department, but got sent up to the surgery ward. And then the next morning, I got sent into an operation. Now, I really didn't know what was going to happen at this point. I just thought they were going to clean it out. I woke up and my breasts had pretty much been removed. That much necrosis had gone through them. Bearing in mind I was an F cup before, so really ideally what I wanted when I went to Turkey is I wanted a small amount of the breast removing away or uplifting. I just wanted to feel like I did before I had 2 kids. So yeah, they'd all gone. They'd taken more away on one than the other. So I was left with a tiny bit on one side, but practically nothing, like completely fat on the other side. So I'd gone from paying thousands to go and get my boobs done to having nothing. At that point, I had to have like machines put on me. So it was like a suction with a really thick tube that came out, and I had to wear these machines on my hips, and it'd basically suck all the shit out, basically. I had that on for a few weeks. And then I had smaller ones put on, and because that much dead tissue, that much dead flesh was taken out because it was all necrotic, and they had to scrape it down to my flesh, they had no skin to actually fix it back together. So they had to let the scar tissue close together. That took about 3 months in total. So I'm left with a hell of a lot of scarring. So I've actually decided, anyway, so this has gone on for 6 minutes now. Probably no one's going to watch this, but what place to find other people who've been through something similar while I'm feeling a bit nervous because I've got my next operation coming up than TikTok. So if anybody has had any operations out there, please let me know. I'm nervous for my next one. I've actually decided to go private. I've been on the wait list since December 2023 to get my second surgery done. Now, I'm well aware, if anyone does see this and they're like, you shouldn't be getting that on the NHS, I'm well aware. I was really, really grateful when they did my first operation. But obviously there is people like cancer survivors that are above me, which, again, is not a problem at all. I'm happy to wait. I've got to the point now where we're a little bit better off financially, so I decided to go private. It wasn't as expensive as I thought. So I am booked in for the end of August, and this is for a fat graft. So basically it's almost like 360 lipo. So they'll be taking fat out my stomach, my hips, I'm pretty sure my back as well, and then they'll be transferring it into my breasts. That will get some shape. The next operation after that, which again I'm probably gonna have to go private for, they'll be taking cartilage from a rib cage, and they'll be basically making new nipples, because at the moment I don't have any. So it probably seems really weird that I don't have any nipples, but I've lived like this for 2 years. It really doesn't bother me. It's actually better because when you're in the winter, you don't get cold. But yeah, if there's anyone out there that has been through something similar or has had this similar sort of fat grafting operation, hit me up. I'm nervous. As the weeks are closing in now, I feel like I want to cancel the operation because I'm nervous and I'm scared. And yeah, it's really difficult to talk to anybody when they don't really know what you've been through.
If you're a girl and you're thinking about getting fake cherries, let me tell you something that might advise against it. This doesn't happen to everybody, but it happened and is happening to me. I got 700 cc's because I'm 5'9", and everyone told me that, you know, when you're tall, you swallow your implants pretty much. That was true when I first got them, okay? They dropped pretty quickly. Everything was really smooth like the first year. I looked great. They looked natural when I first got them. And then I started working out and I started losing weight. And that to me is where like the problems really started, is when I started losing fat in my upper chest area. Mind you, I got these implants like 10 months after my son was born. I wasn't down to my original pre-baby weight, okay? I'm skinnier than I was my pre-baby weight. But the worst thing is I can't feel them. They're numb. These are numb, right? I could feel like to here. Right around here, I don't feel anything. On the outside, kind of, but then it gets like real numb right here. And the doctor said that would go away within like 2 years, and it's been 4, and it's gotten worse. The numbness has gotten worse. It's gotten more painful. I asked the doctor, well, like, is there a way you could have cut so you know, like I wouldn't lost my feeling? Like, is this somehow your fault? And he's just like, no, I got it done under, like my scar is under. And he's like, you know, when I cut, we can't tell what nerves we're cutting. You just end up with feeling in spots that you end up with. I haven't heard any woman talk about this. I'm sure if you got them through the armpit or through somewhere else, you'd probably be able to feel them. I don't like the way they look now. They look like bowling balls on my chest. Like when I don't have anything on, just big circles, and they're under the muscle, okay? I don't have a chest muscle, so you can just see big. At this point, 4 years, I already want to get them taken out or make them smaller. Now that I'm getting fit, and I plan to be fit for the rest of my life, I have a naturally pear-shaped body. I've always been thicker at the bottom and skinny at top. And now I've kind of given myself kind of an hourglass. They're almost sometimes wider than my hips. So I would like to get that Lexi Learman look. You know what I mean? That's like what I'm going for, and I can't do that with double D bolts on. So, but I'm not gonna hold you. I will say one, these Yetis have afforded me a pretty nice life over here. Boobies can buy you a house, but you might not be able to feel the ones that bought you the house. So we all got something to sacrifice, and my feeling and my yitties is what I've sacrificed.
Okay, a little story time. I wasn't sure if I was going to share this part of my story, but you know, I feel like maybe it can help somebody and maybe also help me. I don't know what people have gone through, but you know, I know that with surgery, there's always a risk. They tell you about it, you sign the papers, you never think it's going to be you until it's you. So I went in for a regular breast augmentation lift surgery at the end of February this year. And maybe like 2 months later, I go in for just a routine checkup, and I'm telling the doctor, you know, one breast is sitting higher than the other. Is that normal? What's going on? And he tells me, I think that you have capsular contraction. I don't know what that is. He tells me, shows me about it. He's like, I can schedule you for surgery next week. And I said, oh, no, I can't. My best friend is getting married at the beginning of May, and I can't be all bandaged up at her wedding. So we can do it after that. And I also remember that at my initial consultation before my first surgery, they said, you know, if you need any revisions or we need to change anything, you need to wait at least 3 months for your body to heal before you can have another surgery. So I brought that up to the doctor and I said, you know, it hasn't been 3 months. I remember you guys told me that I need to wait 3 months. Is it okay if I have this surgery soon, or should I wait? And his office manager and him both said it was fine. I said, it's fine. You can just do the surgery. That way you're ready for summer and, you know, you'll be good. I said, okay. I scheduled the surgery for the second week of May. And before the surgery day, he comes in and has like a whole consultation with you, sits down, goes over everything, breast, implant sizes, and all of that. So he did explain that when he takes a capsular contraction out of my right breast, that there's gonna be scar tissue and stuff that he's gonna have to take out, and the breast is gonna be smaller than it was to begin with. So he suggested that I go up a size in my breast, which I was okay with. And at that time, for my first surgery, I was 375. And he said, I asked him, what's the next size up? And he said, I think he said like 405 or 420. He said, but you're not really going to see a difference in size if you do that for your implants. He's like, you're going to need to go like 445 or higher. And I said, okay, but I don't want them huge. I just want them to be proportionate to my body. So he's like, yeah, well, you're a curvy girl. You have hips and everything. So it's okay if you get a little bit bigger boobs. And I said, I know, but I'm really short, so I don't want to look like top heavy, bottom heavy, everything. So I told him, you know, I think that 445 is good. Let's do 445. And he brought in an implant that was 530. And I was like, this is heavy. Like, this is a really big implant. And he's like, just remember, like, I'm taking out a lot of your tissue. So it's okay if your breasts go a little bigger. It'll look fine for your body. I told him, you know, I would prefer 445. He said that 530 would give me the fullness, the round shape, you know, the cleavage, all of that I wanted. So I told him, okay, when you're on the table, why don't you put the implants in and decide which one gives me the best shape and look for my body. So we have the surgery. After the surgery, I go home. I don't see him for 1 week, which I later learn that he is supposed to see me 24 hours after my second surgery, which he did not do. So I go home. I have drains on both sides of me. And they tell me, you know, make sure you're taking it out and writing down how much you're draining every day, because in order for you to take out the drains, you need to be like within a certain measurement for the day. So I think it was like a week and like 2 days later, maybe, or something like that, that I saw him to take the drains out and check on the breast. So I go in, they're taking the drains out, and then around my incision was around my areola. So there's surgical tape around my areola. They have to take it off. Just to make sure that everything is healing properly. And when they do, my left one looks like it's having a reaction to the surgical tape or something, because it's like peeling, it's bleeding. The doctor tells me it seems like you've created a reaction, an allergic reaction to your surgical tape or adhesive tape. So make sure, like, if you ever have surgery or do something like that, you tell them in the future. And I said, well, this didn't happen last surgery. The incisions were in the same area. So maybe it's just irritated because I had the surgery so close together. Examined it, we took pictures. His nurses gave me something called like Exerform. It's basically just like surgical tape. It's green a little bit, and they say that they use it a lot for burn victims and things like that. So they told me, you know, keep it on for 2 days. You can shower with it on, take it off, and then put it back on. So it heals the area. When I did that and I took it off after the second day, my areola started to peel. Like, the color started to peel off of my areola. I sent the nurses the picture. I said, I don't think this is normal. What is happening? Because it wasn't happening to my right breast. So one of his assistants or nurses calls me and says, don't put the Exerform on. Keep the area dry. And let it heal on its own. So I said, okay. They said it should scab up. Just leave it alone, which was fine. I left it alone. It did start to what looked like scab. When I went in for another office visit, I asked them, I said, this doesn't look normal. Like, is this tissue necrotic? And he specifically said, no, it's not. Look, your right breast has it too, and like flicked off a little, like kind of like flicked off a little scab. And he's like, look, it's just a scab. And I said, but this one doesn't look like this one. Are you sure? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry. Everything seems to be healing fine so far. Wrong. Okay. I started to form like a little wound that opened around my incision site, which I sent them a picture because I'm nervous. Like, I already had 2 surgeries now. Thought this was going to be one and done, super simple breast augmentation surgery. And I was wrong. So I sent them a picture. And I sent it to the nurses. I'm like, what is happening? Is this okay? What do I do? They said, just keep the area dry. It's going to be fine. I send them another picture maybe a few days later. I said, it's getting bigger. It's not getting better. So then they contacted the doctor. His office manager called in 2 antibiotics for me, ciprofloxacin and augmentin. And he said, take it and then schedule me for an appointment at the end of that week. Going for the appointment. The doctor is looking, and at first he didn't even like suggest a culture. And I said, no, like maybe we should test it and send it out so we know like everything is okay. So he's like, we could do a culture, but there's no pus coming out. It doesn't look like it's infected. It's not hurting. It's not tender, like nothing. And I'm like, no. He's like, you don't have a fever? And I said, no. He said, well, the antibiotics that I put you on are really strong, so it should dry it up and allow the area to close on its own. He then told me, don't shower up top. Leave it dry, because if it's moist, it's not going to close. So I said, okay, I trust you. You're my surgeon. Another wound opens. Same breast, same around the areola. I send them a picture. I said, you guys, this isn't getting better. Now there's another one. What is happening and where are my test results? He asked me to come in to the office. I saw him Friday. He asked me to come in Monday so he can see how the antibiotics were working and if I was getting better. And when he saw that I wasn't, he asked me to stay on the antibiotics longer, which I heard is bad because ciprofloxacin can cause like muscle ruptures, tendon ruptures. So I was scared. I asked him like, is this okay? I heard that it's not good to stay on this antibiotic for a long time. Go to part 2. So he advised me that it would be fine and continue the antibiotics, come back that same week on Friday. When I was in his office, I asked, I said, did you guys get the lab results yet? He said no. The next day, I sent them a picture and I said, it looked like the inside was closing a little. So I said, oh my God, is this getting better? I sent it to the nurses. And they said, it looks like it. Keep an eye on, keep it dry, whatever. I asked that day as well, which was Tuesday, did you guys get my lab results? They said, the office manager is the only one who has access to it, so they would ask her. And I said, okay. The next day comes, which is Wednesday, and I sent a text. I said, hey, I still didn't get the results from my labs. I want to know if everything is okay with the culture. Please let me know. Doesn't seem like it's getting better or it's drying up. Thursday comes. I asked for the labs again. No answer, no results. They keep telling me the office manager has it. They asked her for it. I said, okay, has the doctor checked in? What's going on? I need to know what's happening because my situation is only getting worse. I'm starting to form little wounds all around my incision site. And I know that's not normal because it's not happening to my other breast. And it doesn't hurt. I don't have a fever. And because of those reasons, I think they thought that I didn't have an infection. So I had an appointment Friday afternoon. So Friday morning, I sent them a picture of how bad it got, which was, it almost looked like it was like little ulcers around my incision site that were maybe like this big, but they looked like they were going to fully open. And I sent them a picture and I said, this is not okay. Something is going on and I need to know where my lab results are. What is happening? They said, if you want, you can come in at this time, which is a little earlier than your appointment now. And I said, no, I have, my business stuff to handle, so I can't. I'll be there at my appointment, but this is not normal, is it? And they're like, well, just come in. The doctor's going to evaluate it and talk to you, blah, blah, blah. I go in for my appointment. The wounds that I thought were going to open had opened. And the doctor saw it and I'm like, it looks like it's infected. And he said, it's not infected, but your body is not healing and you need to take out the implant. And I don't know if implants work for you. It seems like your body is rejecting it. I said, well, doesn't make sense because this breast is healing fine. So why is it only happening to this breast? And he said, is it tender to the touch? And I said, no. And do you have a fever? No, I don't. I said, where are my lab results? And I said, the office manager's like really not on her business because where are my results? So they said, do you want us to call her? I said, yeah, please call her, ask for the results. The doctor should have access to the results. I took this test last Friday. You guys should have already gotten it. And he comes, he like squeezes the breast. He's like, there's no pus, there's nothing, but let's schedule you. I'll make time for you next week. I'm out of town these 2 days, but I'll be here and we can schedule the surgery. Something didn't sit right with my heart. And I said, you know what, let me think about it. And I left. I called my friend who had a double mastectomy, and I said, can you send me the number to your doctor? Because I want to get a second opinion. And she said, what happened? And I told her, and she gave me the number to her doctor. I called. The office manager was super helpful there. And she's like, send me pictures and I'll show it to the doctor and see what he can do. So I sent the pictures, and, you know, she tells the doctor, and he's not much that he can do at the moment because it's still another surgeon's work, which I understand. So anyways, I go home that day, and Barry can see that I'm like distressed. Like, I don't know what to do. I know that something is wrong, even though the doctor keeps telling me that I have no infection. And I haven't been showing him my breast because I just didn't want him to like remember me in this light, right? I tell him everything. So my friends are like, you maybe share a little bit too much with him. So then I just didn't want to. And finally, Friday night when I got home, he saw I was like hunched over. I'm just like holding my breast. It was just really uncomfortable. And he's like, show me your breast. And I'm like, no, I don't want you to remember me like this. It's not pretty. Like, it clearly looks like something is going on. And he's like, I don't care. Show me your breast. And I showed it to him, and he was like, I knew it. I should have taken you to the doctor. I should have made you show me your breast. That is infected. That looks infected. I don't know how your doctor is telling you it's not infected. It's 100% infected. Like, we need to go to the hospital now. I was like, let me just send them a picture. By the time I got home, another wound around my incision site had like a little one had opened, and I sent them a picture. I'm like, you guys, another one opened. Should I go to the emergency room tonight? And the doctor was like, no, if you don't feel comfortable, go to Cedars-Sinai. I have privileges there, so I can come and I can meet you. But it was like late. I was stressing out in my head. My friend who had the double mastectomy called her sister's a nurse, so the next day they called me, and the sister was like, can I see pictures? And I sent her pictures. She immediately FaceTimed me. She's like, do you mind showing me on FaceTime? And I said no. So I showed it to her, and she's like, that's infected. You are infected. Did you get your lab results? Did you do a culture? And I said, yeah, I've been asking him this whole week. And she said, it's your right to have your culture results. So text them or call them and ask them for the results because you need to have them. That is an infection. So I text the office manager. I said, hey, it's my right to have my lab results. Can you please send me my lab results? I've been asking the staff all week, and they say you're the only one who has access to it. So she apologized. She said she has like personal issues going on, and she sent me the lab results. I think without looking, because I'm almost positive if she looked at them, she probably wouldn't have sent them to me. So I immediately, before even opening it, I send it to my friend's sister, and then I'm opening it and she calls me. She says, you need to go to the ER right now. You have a heavy growth of E. coli, and it's resistant to the antibiotics that you're on right now. So the only way that it can get treated is through IV antibiotics. So Barry rushed me to the emergency room. He was pissed. He's like, I should have asked. I shouldn't have let you tell me no, blah, 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 blah. I would have brought you here days ago. So we get to the emergency room. The doctor sees me. They do their own labs, and they say, you know, you do have you have a heavy growth of E. coli. So we're going to give you these IV antibiotics. So they give me the IV antibiotics. They come and do an examination of my breast, and they're like, the doctor's like, there's pus here. And I showed him what my breast looked like on Friday when I went to the doctor's office, and he was like, your doctor let you leave because this looks infected. How did he just let you leave? I said, well, he wanted me to do surgery next week. And he's like, listen, you need to get the antibiotics every day, but I can't keep you here unless you're going to get admitted to the hospital. So he told me, I don't want you to just have the surgery with anybody. Find a breast surgeon that you want to do it. You need to take the implant out. They need to clear and debris the area. It looks like your nipple is necrotic. And I asked him 3 weeks ago, and he told me that it wasn't. He said, no, it's definitely necrotic. Go and get a second opinion, but this is just what it is.
So a lot of people don't know me. Obviously you're on TikTok, but I struggle with my health a lot. This year alone, I was scheduled to have a neck fusion in my C4, 5, and 6, and then a couple months after that, I was gonna have my lower back fused in my L5, S1, and then I was scheduled to have shoulder surgery after that. As if that wasn't enough, I found out that my boobs were ruptured, so I thought, why not get them fixed, and why not just get a little lipo and I don't know, make myself feel better since I don't work out, since having all these problems with my back. I did my homework. I went to Guadalajara, Mexico. I found a doctor out there that I really liked, and I'd watched a ton of videos of girls giving their posting their results and showing videos of what they look like, so I was pretty confident going into this. Booked a recovery house for 2 weeks after that, and 5 weeks, a little bit over 5 weeks post-op, my surgery has become a nightmare. It started out with my incision looking like it was infected somehow. I don't know how it got infected or whatnot, because I was doing everything the right way. I was being extra cautious, and so now where my tummy tuck line is, and the thing is I didn't even really hate my stomach. Like, I somehow got convinced to do a tummy tuck even though I didn't really need it, and now I have a 3-inch hole at my incision line. But to make it even worse, I went into the ER regarding my stomach and found out that my breasts were infected. So I was admitted into the hospital, put on IV antibiotics for 5 days or so, with no improvement. And so, yeah, they ended up having to take my breast out. So I literally have nothing. I knew I had to get them done. I just didn't want to be left feeling like I'm completely botched now. I'm just having a hard time.
I dreamed for the day I would finally have my skin removal surgery after losing almost 200 pounds. Never did I imagine that these would be my results. I was made to believe that I was having a fleur-de-lis tummy tuck, a paniculectomy, a belly button relocation, and a pubic lift. Instead of just a paniculectomy, I was told if I did the cosmetic upgrade, I would be totally flat and that I would be trading all of that.
Landed myself back in hospital the last 4 days with complications. So unfortunately, my tummy opened up on both hips, and one side was so large and so significant that it required surgical intervention. Yesterday, I, after 4 days of being in hospital, had an operation to wash the infection out. I've been on IV antibiotics for 4 days in hospital. I have acquired these two little friends again. So I have one on both hip. Their responsibility is to drain any excess fluid that may accumulate. I don't know when I'll be able to get them out. Both hips are now back open. The tummy tuck stuff and the any stuff, the breast, it's mostly the tummy tuck. I had my tummy, my breast, and my arms done. Don't be fooled by how easy it is in the beginning. Honestly, the beginning for me was like a walk in the bloody park. Like, I was on here sprigging. I feel fine. I did feel fine. I wasn't lying. But holy moly, the rate of complications after these things seems to be huge. I know of 4 people that have had a tummy tuck in the last month or two, and every single one of us has had a complication. So don't think this stuff is complication free and you're only, one of the unlucky ones if you do have a complication, because they seem to be common. I don't know. It's a massive surgery. So of course they are, but yeah, don't go into it thinking that it won't happen to you, because the odds are it probably will. Not to be a Debbie Downer, obviously everything's fixable. I've been to theatre, I've been washed out and stitched back up, and we kind of start again, I guess. So back onto the bed rest, and yeah, hopefully in another month I can jump on here and be like, everything's fine, it's healed, and I love my tummy and the scarring's not bad. But we'll see how we go getting there in the next month. But that's my update.
It done got bad. It's bad. Oh, yeah, I can't move. Like, I'm hurting so bad. Like, my stomach is like, you see this? It's like it's trying to force to stretch. So I had a paniculectomy. I'm trying to be quiet because somebody might be going through this, or somebody might be thinking about getting the surgery and they're not done having kids. Do not get the skin removal surgery if you don't got them damn tubes tied. Like it just got black like that. It wasn't black like that. You see what a redness is like. This baby is trying to like pound his weight for, like, he needs space. And then I also had got muscle repair. And then like this around, like this right here wasn't like this at first. And it's like my scars are darker. And I have keloid skin. See, it's starting to stretch more. See that? When I say pain and I'm trying to work, like, I literally gotta lay down on the couch to work. Like, I'm scared. Not only because I think the baby gonna come early, and it's because, like, I really want to go and try to, like, shop and stuff, but, like, I cannot walk for a long period of time because I hurt so bad. So my doctor want me to lay down. But I'm so scared because, like, I'm just going into my 3rd trimester. Right now, I'm 26 weeks, and I'm about to enter my 3rd trimester. I'm scared for it to, like, when it start to stretch, it's just like an unbearable pain when my stomach starts stretching. It's like some pain I cannot explain. And I'm scared because my stomach's going to get bigger than this. Y'all, like, if I eat, I hurt. Like,
this is the 24th day after my tummy tuck. My BBL has moved on. I'm full of regret. I'm regretting my life by fast. And I know it's the last comment of a fool. I'm a fool. Everything they tire me in my head. They told me I want to go. Agbala soup not the sweet for my mouth again. Everything they tire me, I didn't regret. My belly not really big before. I'm not tired. I'm not tired. I want chop up my dad. I don't finish chop up my dad. I don't finish bubble. I don't finish drink beer. I don't finish do anything. I'm not tired. I did suffer now. I'm not tired. The day is full of regrets. Every day now they regret. When did that they use big yash they do self? When did that they use flat belly they do? I want to go and meet my cat. I want to go and meet my cat. I want to shop up and down. I don't know. Oh my head they told me. A day will come when you will regret. I'll be my regression. Yeah, me. Oh, yeah, me. I remember what I did also. Nothing to my belly before. The compression will be compressing your soul. I just want to tell you people that a time will come when you will regret it. And I'm regretting it. I cannot say yes, spending me or yes, spending me. Sometimes fear will pay me. I cannot laugh, I cannot cough, I cannot sneeze, I cannot shop, I cannot sleep well, I cannot even shit. Everything is tiring me. I want to come and meet my mommy. I want to come and meet my daddy. I want to. Even should not do surgery again. I've changed my mind. My past goodbye. I'm going to cry blood. I'm going to cry. Oh, my eyes turning me. Bye bye. I'm regretting my life. Goodbye. As I go, I regret my life.
Yeah, I'm tearing up because I've been having troubles breathing, and I did get a nose job in Turkey, and it was going. I think I'm like almost at my 7th month post-op. I've been having breathing issues for a couple of weeks, like where it's like I can't breathe really well. I have to mouth breathe. But I saw this like a month or two ago about like how I have scar tissue now on my nasal hole, I guess, and I can't really breathe that well from this side, and this side collapsed, and it looks pretty. And I posted a lot of videos. I did so good with surgery, and they treated me so well. But I did have some redness. I let them know about it, and how they said was like not dealing with the sutures. They just said it gets worse, which it really didn't. But skin wise, until this scars, like this extra tissue, started growing out, and then this ended up like collapsing. Like it looks nice, you know, but it's collapsed, and then this side is like normal, so you can see the difference. You see how this is smaller and then this is bigger? Well, I was like, well, I could deal with that because it looks snatched, you know, like. But I've been having troubles breathing, and I looked into my nose right now, and there's like this huge big polyp, like ball back here in the one nostril that works. And I'm upset because I did this to myself. This procedure, and he told me to go to Turkey basically like in August, but I told him like aren't I supposed to wait a year, first of all, and also I just got a new job, so I can't even do a trip to Turkey, and it's like another whole pay, you know, because he said he'll discount it, but like only in a certain timeline, and it's just I'm so mad at myself because I can't breathe, and now I see like it's bad in there. I'm gonna have to see a surgeon here in Texas, and it's like 3 times the amount, or 4 than in Turkey, like 3 times the amount than in Turkey. And I really want to breathe normal again, but I'm so like narcissistic and vain that I'm like, oh, my snatch nose, you know. But my breathing is so bad, and I'm scared because like, what if it fully blocks this side, that big ball of tissue back here? Like, what if it completely blocks the good side, you know? I can't even breathe really good from it this side. I'm just gonna be a mouth. I've been a mouth breather. Anyway, so I'm just venting. I'm upset.
I regret my nose job. I take back my recommendation of my doctor. Let me just explain what happened. So I went yesterday to get my stitches off, and I had already told y'all that she's pretty rough, which I was like, as long as she's doing her job, I really don't care. She takes my tape off. She starts taking my stitches off. I'm literally shaking the entire time, so I'm trying to just hold myself so I don't move. She cleans it, takes the stitches off, and then starts retaping. She was already on the last piece of tape, and then she's like, no, está bien. She starts taking the tape off, and I was like, okay, like, maybe she put the tape on wrong, like what's going on? My stitches weren't ready yet, and they had opened. And she was like, I'm gonna have to stitch you up again. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to get like the anesthesia shot. And I hate shots so bad. And so I was already like scared, and I was already so tired of the pain, but I was like, whatever. She puts like a spray, and she's like, this is gonna numb the area. And I was like, what do you mean? Literally, I feel like even like just thinking about it, like I'm shaking because it hurts so bad. She said, just 2, I can do this. Then the second one, and I was like, okay, we're done. And then nope, kept going. She did 4 stitches right here. I've never felt my body be like that before. After the stitches, she taped me up again, and at that point I couldn't feel anything. Like I could feel all the pain, but it was just so much that I was just like, please, like I just want this to be over. My aunt didn't record any of it because of like how much pain I was in. She said like she couldn't even watch. And I don't care if someone's like, why is she crying telling you this? I've been trying not to think about it because I feel like I can feel like the needle going in, and just what I mean by I regret getting my nose job is I regret not staying more time, because if I would have stayed more time, my stitches would have been ready. I wouldn't have to have gone through any of that. And the reason why I say I take back my recommendation, because even though like she's a really good doctor and everything, I just don't think that was right. I would still recommend going with her because it's not like it was her fault, but I do think like the stitching part, that was, I don't know.
My cringy ass room. This is from COVID. I've since moved out of this house. Now that that's out of the way, I am so validated by this comment, because not only did I need 1 nose job, I needed 2, because my doctor literally botched my nose and then died a week later. So let me set the scene, right? I was like 21, 22, and my nose was always my biggest insecurity. I had like a lot of projection. I had a hump, and then I had like a curved tip. Pause. So yeah, this is literally me at 21. How scary is she? Also me at 21, really cute Halloween outfit, really ugly nose. And I'm gonna be honest, like when I used to get like bullied, that was the first thing people would always go for. I knew it was big, everyone knew it was big, and I just like hated it so much. And I'm so excited to get a nose job because my nose is broken in 2 places apparently, so I get it for free. So I go to this doctor, he does my nose job, a week later strokes out, dies. So the big ass honker on the left over here is my natural nose. And then this was after my first nose job. And I liked it because it looked natural. It was still bigger. Like it wasn't like a tiny little thing. It looked natural, and I liked it. And then this is right before my second nose job. You can see that like it literally lost all its shape, and like the tip is literally like, you know, like curving in. Like it was falling off my face. Basically, my doctor took too much cartilage out of my tip, so my nose literally was like falling. Yeah, and so this is my natural nose. And then this is me all healed now with a ton of Botox and a better makeup strategy. I would also like to mention that I did have to pay for the second one because I felt really weird suing a dead man because med mal or whatever. Like, how do you even prove that if the guy's like, I don't know. I felt bad too. I was like, poor family. Like, he was young. He was a cool doctor. He was a cool guy. So like RIP, but like he did my shit up. And then I had to pay $12,000 for this bad this bad boy. So thank you for validating that my $12,000 did make a difference.
Hey guys, this is my story time about how I nearly died getting my nose done in Turkey. So I posted that video as a joke because a lot of people know that about me and I tell this story all the time. And I didn't realize how many people it would reach that don't actually know me. So now I have to go ahead and tell the story all over because I think I scared a lot of people, which rightfully so. So I'm going to go ahead and try to cut out as much background information as possible. But basically, when we booked, we were pretty much told that we were going to be staying in a hospital that was so luxurious, you would feel like you're at a spa. You would have a 24-hour nurse staying with you during that time. You would have a 24-hour translator who would be there to make sure that you can communicate with whoever you need and that you would be given a certain surgeon. A lot of that was far from the truth. And the only thing that was honestly correct was that I would be happy with the results, which I am, but I went through a lot to get this. So now I'm going to start to get into the actual near-death experience. So the hospital starting off was absolutely disgusting. It looked like an unfinished basement and they were just completely filthy. Like when I was getting my blood drawn the day before my actual operation, no gloves, no alcohol being used. The tourniquet that they used was like this seat belt that was like reusable, not sanitized, nothing. And I thought it was weird, and I was talking to my really sweet translator. His name was Omar. I still remember him. He was like the only normal one from the entire trip. I was like, is that normal? And he was kind of just like, like it didn't seem like it was abnormal to him. So I'm like, maybe it's just not like American healthcare. So now at this point, I have a bad taste in my mouth, but not enough to not do the surgery. We go to the hotel room, come back the next day, and I'm ready for my consultation. Went pretty smooth. The doctor was totally fine. And now I'm getting prepped for actual surgery where shit starts to hit the fan. I get my IV started, and this is, again, something minor. No gloves, no alcohol, no anything. I'm just stuck with an IV and sent on my way. Now, again, we were told we were going to have a 24-hour translator and a 24-hour nurse. That did not happen. The translator did not come with me into surgery. I had no way of communicating with the surgeon or any of the staff. And I am being wheeled over to the operating room, not knowing the language, not having anything going on. I get in the actual operating room, and this is where it gets pretty dark. Ended up going into the OR, and I manage urgent care, so I kind of know a thing or two about EKGs. And I was placed, like the EKG leads were being placed on me, and all of a sudden, I hear like loud beeping, and it sounded like a scene out of Grey's Anatomy where like it sounded like somebody was crashing. And I'm kind of like looking around and I'm like, is everything okay? Like, what's happening? And they all just start screaming at each other, like screaming at each other. And I'm sitting there like laid down, like on the operating table. And I'm like, is everything okay? Like, is everything fine? And all of a sudden, I'm not even exaggerating, a hand comes over my mouth like this, and I knock the out just like that. No explanation. I'm freaking out. Like within 1 second, I was knocked out when I started asking what was wrong. It seemed like it was out of a horror movie. So now I wake up after surgery and I'm paranoid and I'm like checking myself for scars on random parts of my body because I heard that they can take your organs when you're in surgery and sell them on the black market. Just like thinking the absolute worst. And again, I was told that I was going to have a 24-hour nurse, right? I was showed where the call button was if I needed anything. Long story short for this part, I had to pee so bad in the middle of the night. I was left alone, no nurse, no translator, and I kept pressing the call button and I wasn't able to keep track of anybody. Finally, 6 hours later, I'm basically bawling my eyes out. I've been like yelling like, help, help, please, like somebody, because I was so desperate to pee that I was just screaming for help and nobody came until somebody came to deliver my breakfast. Now, she's like, oh, toilet? I'm like, yes, please, toilet. She puts a bucket under me and leaves. I'm like, oh, thank God, finally I get to pee. I go ahead, pee. I'm like, okay, guys, like I'm all done. Like, hello. Like, I was left there to sit in my pee until my legs started going numb. And mind you, I'm still terrified of what happened to me, 7 hours prior. So at this point, I'm like, oh my God, are my legs going numb because of the pain medication? Are they going numb because my circulation is getting cut off? The bed railing is so like long that I cannot access it. I can't bend because of my nose. I have no way of getting out of the bed to go ahead and move the urine myself. The urine ends up spilling all over me inside that hospital bed, and I am just disgusted at this point. So now my mom comes in to visit me because visiting hours are back up. And she's like, how did we go from being told that we were going to have this like amazing experience to like now you're sitting here crying in your bed, like terrified? We ended up going back to the hotel. And now here is where I genuinely think I'm going to die. I cannot stand. I am throwing up every single thing that I eat. My body is so hot and cold. I have such a high fever. I'm shaking. I'm vomiting. I am just worst pain of my life. I had every sign of being septic. And like I said, I manage urgent care. So I was texting all of the PAs and all of the providers that I work with. And I'm like, hey, like, is this normal? And they're all like, Steph, like, if you said they were dirty, you really well could have had sepsis. Like, I was so sick for days, and every time I would contact like the clinic supervisor, they'd be like, oh yeah, it's normal. And I'm like, I don't think this is normal. And then finally they ended up like upping the antibiotic, and I ended up thankfully being okay. But the entire thing, just from like how dirty it was, the whole situation with like my EKG and all the doctors yelling at each other, it like was out of a movie, almost going septic at the end. Like genuinely, when I left, I was scared that like I was going to come home and have complications still for like weeks after. And thankfully, like the result is amazing. And the whole time they kept saying like, oh yeah, Natija, like the result is going to be great. And like it is. But in the moment when all of this stuff was happening, it was just like, in that moment, I did not feel like it was worth it. So just like do your research if you do plan on going.
I really contemplated making this video because my healing is not finished. But if you're trying to get lip filler, don't do it. I literally want to cry. I hate this. Please do not touch y'all's face. Do not. You are perfectly fine the way you are. I promise you're going to regret it. I don't know what I'm more fucking mad about. The fact that I wasted my money, or the fact that my lips are botched, and I don't know which one's pissing me off more right now. Like, don't do it. Look at how the bottom lip is just nice and even and smooth. Look at this. Lumpy is let me tell you something. Body dysmorphia is a real thing, and like most people, I definitely had insecurities. There were things that I used to nitpick about myself, but I'm not even gonna hold you. This experience has made me realize that, you know what, I don't want to touch it.
Hey y'all, I'm not even gonna lie, my lips have a BBL. I don't know how they got a BBL. I don't know what happened from March 2022 when I got my lips done until now. But they got a BBL, baby. It's giving BBL lips. Ooh, I'm shaking. I'm scared to post this. But like, look. Like, I don't even like smiling for real because I'm gonna have to get my lips dissolved. I don't know if like the filler migrated in like the past couple years or like what's been going on, but I thought like with filler, I thought it would migrate like up or something, but I guess it like migrated down. I'm gonna insert videos of when I got my lips done because I posted it on here. So yeah, so y'all can like see, like compare and see. It's really getting bad now, and I know because people are starting to realize, like, people be coming up to me like, I love your lips, where'd you get your lips done? And like, I'm the type where like if I get anything, I don't want it to look that noticeable. So the fact that like people that don't even know me are noticing, yeah, it's time for me to get this dissolved. Sometimes I be liking the Lord, you know, it be giving sometimes, it be tea sometimes, but it's really getting bad now. Oh, child.
Come with me to dissolve my lip filler. The last time I had lip filler was back in 2020, and I've been noticing some migration, so I finally went to Skin Refined Med Spa in Sunnyvale, California to dissolve them. The RN that helped me at Skin Refined was Jameson, and he showed me exactly where all the migration was, and I was so shocked. I don't know if you could tell, but that sack was lip migration. I couldn't believe it. Thankfully, they start off by putting numbing cream before they do any of the procedure. Then you just hang out for a couple 15 to 20 minutes while they numb. At this point, I was getting so nervous, but thankfully he handed me over a stress ball, which helped. I honestly was so scared to get this done because I heard horror stories on how painful it was. It does hurt, but not as bad as you think. But on a positive side, it is a really quick procedure. Honestly, this was done within like 15 minutes. Swelling was instantly. And this is how I looked immediately after the procedure was done. The swelling got a little bit worse on the ride home. But this was about 3 hours right after I got home, same day. And this is me the very next day. You could see the bruising, but it was not as bad as I thought. And this was me 5 days later. The bruising is almost gone and no more lip migration. Thank you to Skin Refined. They helped me feel so comfortable, and I will be going back in a couple of weeks to restart my filler. Bye!
Getting fillers is the most humbling thing in the world because you just never know how they're going to look, no matter how good a practitioner looks online. You just don't know. I'm on day 3 and I am going to get all of this removed. Let me give you some side profiles. Left side, right side. Very clear to me that there was migration or she just injected in the wrong place because this wouldn't be healing down like this. This is so ugly. I miss my lips, and I will also be getting filler in here dissolved because this looks very unnatural. So just to warn you, this is what comes with getting filler. It is an expensive process. I know I've already dissolved them once, so I don't care. I know it's gonna hurt, but in 3 weeks I will look fine, and God let me learn my lesson the hard way.